1415, an English army invades France. With our King Henry V, we are there to show them who is in charge of their land. Our king has the right to rule there, but I have no concerns in that matter. I am there, for I am told to fight. 'Tis my duty. I owe allegiance to my master, but I am there for other reasons too. That I'll burn your house, I'll butcher your kids, I'll rob your blind. The town of Harfleur we attacked. Harfleur was more than a town. Sitting on the shores of the river Somme, it was the protection for the estuary there. More than a town, this city now had 7 miles of wall, 20 towers tall. The people there were clever. Inside the walls the harbour stood. We needed that for our own fleet. But the people flooded the plains around the town. We fought in a swamp, a quagmire of filth. Our camp, nothing more than a quagmire of cesspit. Child, do you know what a cesspit is? Why, it is like a toilet that you cannot flush. It falls over the rim onto the floor. We slept in our own filth, we fought in our own filth. 3 weeks of hell! 3 weeks it took to subdue the town of Harfleur. At the end of that fight, a third of our army was dead. A third of our army so sick to England it must return, where many of them died. But our army there, those men that died, they were not killed in combat, treasured princess. They died of the dread disease known as dysentery. You know what dysentery is? No? I'll tell you then. Dysentery is like diarrhea, but it's quicker and quicker. You can't stop it. No matter what you do, it just goes straight. There's no hole in your pants, through your belly, sticks to the back of your leg. Funny to go in with a hanging bottom of blood. A lot of British people get it now in places called, you know. Anyway! At the end of the siege of Harfleur, victorious we English! But our army so depleted, we must not stay. If we return to England now, people will see that we were narrow victories. So Henry V decides we will bluff it out. We're going to march through France, north through Normandy, Picardy, to the old town of Calais. Calais, 160 miles to the north. But we'd be safe there. But in those days, Calais was England. And one day again, we'll become England. Well, you get carried away, don't you? Great lesson. We had a friend who was right in the middle of the audience, and he was loving it. And I said, and one day, he says, you can keep it, mate, it's a done. And we had this rapport going all the way through the show, you know, we had a laugh. And afterwards I said, we've got to go for a beer, one street. And we sat down in the pub opposite. I said, which part of France you're from? He went, Belgium. So to the north our army now must make. We march every day, hard and fast. But our men so sick from the dread dysentery, to relieve their bowels they cannot stop. So we simply cut away our lower clothing to allow the filth of our bowels to run down our legs, where it just sticks to our calves and cake on our legs, and fill and squelch in our boots, and squish through the welts, and eventually it just rot the leather, and stink we do. The French did not have to shadow us, they could have simply gone. Or they could have got pronto from the Lone Ranger. English army, that way. Upon the march things do not go as we planned. Now the French show themselves. He said 30,000 men at first were upon the march. Now they come! Now they come for a fight when we are down. When our men are ill, now they choose to fight we English. From across the other side of the river Somme we observe their army. Just out of bow shots! Not the courage to face we Bowman. the River Somme, in a great arc to the east up there. The French must follow its course around. We to the north can make, on boys, on to Calais. Oh, excuse me. No, I'm busy. I've been asked by the manager not to shoot at people this time. But it's the end of the season. Where was it? Can you remember? I forgot. Remember the time? We were at Durham. North to Calais. Anyway, we're walking to Calais. French have gone round the corner. Oh, what dysentery, that's it. We cut away our lower clothing, the dysentery flows. And then the news arrives. Starved, boys. Starved. There's no food left in the wagon. For the last 2 weeks of the march, we had no food except what we carried in our bags. Then news arrives that French are ahead of us. Even though we fought the mighty Somme, now we will do battle. So each Bowman is called to cut down a wooden stake, carry it on his shoulders. For the last week we carry these and ponder our fate, for we know ahead the French do wait. On October the 24th, 1415, we arrived late in the eve at the battlefield that upon the morrow will learn the name, Agincourt. Our captains are quick amongst the men to settle us down. You English! You Welsh! Shut up! Sit down! We'll get the order up, yeah? Any man that doth make a row will have his right ear cut from his head. Silence, you English. So we waited all night, and at first light we could smell the breakfast fires of the French reported to our men. And quickly we will form our ranks. Now I will draw the battle plan, and as quick as I can, I will give you the tale of the fight. A mile across the top of the hill stands the French army. At the bottom of the hill, just about 500 yards. You see, the battlefield is framed on each side by woods. The woods narrow down so tight that a mile-wide army will be compressed into a shooting zone. The woods on each side are thicker, too thick for the cavalry to charge through, so they will be trapped in the killing zone. This is the makeup of the French army. 2,500 crossbowmen, well over 3,000 armoured knights with their lances, heavy cavalry, 2 massive battalions of infantry, 10 to 15,000 men in each. That's the makeup of the French army. Their plan, they will send cavalry round the outside of the woods, hit us in the back. The rest of the army will charge down once the crossbowmen have shot us to hell. The crossbowmen, they outrange us by 100 yards. These are the famous Genoese. These northern Italian soldiers are the best at their craft. You can recognise the northern Italian soldiers anywhere upon any battlefield in Christendom. Well, they're the best dressed, right? They've got these great Gucci boots, you know, the shoulder pads, the tiny little mobile phones. Hey, Mama, here's Agincourt. At the bottom of the hill, we divide our force. 2,000 bowmen in the left corner, 2,000 bowmen in the right, forming like arms along the edge of the battlefield. Each bowman hammers in his wooden stake where he stands, angles it and sharpens it at the chest height of a horse. In front of the centre of the army, forming 2 triangular positions pointing out, called the hearse. 1,000 bowmen divided. 1,500 men-at-arms behind us. That's the lot of we English and Welsh. The men say their prayers. Some of them take the soil of France into their mouths. This is where they will be buried if they are not victorious. The stage is set. Now let's have a fight. In the baggage train, 1.5 arrows do lie. Boys, no bigger than you will fetch the arrows for your dad. How old are you, son? 13? 13? In my day, a 13-year-old was big, strong, virile, alcoholic, All relies now upon the French attacking us, but they do not. Our spies and scouts report the French are in disarray. So many men now pour into the back of the French army. They've heard that we English are trapped. Noblemen, uncalled to the fight, pour into the battlefield. pushing aside lesser men. They push aside their own crossbowmen. We do not need foreign mercenaries. We will ride down this English king. They are nothing. Look at those English there. Many of our men have stripped down naked. They got rid of their filthy clothing. They'll face the French as they were born. The crossbowmen, being pushed aside, gather up their gear and march away. In that one instant, they'd lost the fight. For our king was ready for this. Every man with his stake, his gear upon his shoulders, waits for the command. The king raises his sword. They lower it. And with one mighty roar, the English and Welsh march up the battlefield. St. George! With every step they call, St. George! St. George! The French should have responded. Simply charged, but they did not. They argued. Still they argued. I will capture 12 knights this day. Ransom them, my fortune assured. I should be in the centre. Still they argued. Whilst we advance up the battlefield. 200 yards from the French position we stand. Reform our ranks. Hammer in the stakes. Have a barbecue. All they had to do was charge, but no longer could one man simply give the command to charge. It's too late. Our ranks reformed, our shapes hammered in. The bowmen stand with arrows knocked upon the bow. And we need the command from one man to loose the arrow. Sir Thomas Erpingham's the one. The old knight commander of the bowmen. He's taken off his helmet, this old man we all love. He races across the battlefield, his charge of grace. He holds up his marshal's baton, this champion of the bowmen. He throws it high and calls to we men with a smile on his face. Now strike! Over 5,000 bowmen draw their bows and shoot as one. French chroniclers wrote down what happened. The sky simply turned black. Not wave after wave as you would think, but a massive cloud of arrows till the arrows were spent. The French army, hemmed in so tight, compressed by numbers, simply bow their heads as the arrows smash amongst them. A few knights fall, not many. These are armoured men. Horses scream in agony, but not many. But what it means now is the French army must advance through the killing zone. And they do, marching forward slowly. Their horses kept in line abreast, their lances up. The entire might of France now marches down the battlefield. The closer they get, the more hits the bowman will score. But the king was clever here. He knew what he was doing. He sent about 200 bowmen to hide in the woods halfway betwixt us and the French. As the cavalry pick up the pace, ignoring the wounded, ignoring the cries, they pick up from the walk to the trot to the canter. Lances now are lowered as one. Magi Saint Denis! Sharp! The ground trembles like an earthquake now as the might of France tear down the battlefield. The bowmen shoot so hard, so fast, that many of them simply shoot into the air to get at the infantry behind. As the cavalry tear down the battlefield, their lances couch their armour forward. The bowmen in the trees rise up and shoot straight into the cavalry. Dozens of men fall from the battle. Horses collapse, but it's not enough. The cavalry coming on now like a storm. We shoot so hard that they've made a mistake. They're ignoring the bowmen on the flanks. 4,000 bows. They're going straight for the king's standard. For glory they charge. And the bowmen in the front can see this and shoot so well. And as the cavalry get close, the bowmen on the edges turn in and shoot them to rags. But still we cannot stop the cavalry. As they come in towards the bowmen in the front, these lads see the arrows just disappearing into the chest of the horses. At the very last second, they run behind their wooden stakes and brace their for their lives. The French cavalry had not seen them and plough straight onto them. The first wave, their horses pierce through the chest. The second, the third, the fourth fire into them. The bowmen simply draw their knives, slash at the throats of the horses. Blood drops to the ground, ripping out the guts. Other horses tripping the entrails of the beast. We drag the knife back and slash at their throats. Kick them in the nuts, stab on the head, smack in the face, gouge at the eyes, blood 30 feet in the air to dust. You should have been there!